Good evening, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team. We have had a pretty active late afternoon and then early evening in some spots as we've been tracking some showers and storms that have been moving in. Everything is calming down right now and pretty much moving out of our area. So for the rest of the evening hours, we should be generally rain-free. We'll watch some of those clouds that are going to be a little stubborn to break up. Thanks for joining us, though, for this extended weather outlook here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7. Tonight, we're going to talk about our local forecast as well as spend a good bit of time here talking about Hurricane Erin. And even though it's not going to make landfall on the Atlantic coast, it will spread some impacts all up and down the Atlantic coast that could be dangerous and that could be deadly. We're expecting dangerous riptides there from Florida to the Georgia coast, Carolina coast, and even farther north there up into the mid-Atlantic region and even up to the north and east as the system pretty much parallels the Atlantic coastline. So we're going to break all of that down for you coming up. But first, let's take a look at this rain that we were dealing with earlier. This that you see here is a 6-hour loop that takes us back to 3 o'clock this afternoon, where we had some of those showers and storms that were pushing through our area. We did have one severe thunderstorm warning earlier in Paulding County that was in effect generally from about 4:40 until about 5 o'clock this afternoon, when we saw these storms right here that moved through, and they just pulsed up with some really heavy rain and a lot of intense lightning when they pushed through these parts of Paulding County there around the Dallas area. And again, that was between 4:30 and 5 o'clock this afternoon. And then some of those storms pushed to the south and fell apart, while other ones developed here west of that in parts of Haralson County, into Carroll County, moving down into Heard and Troup County. They had some impressive storms there a little bit earlier too. We also had another batch of storms that fired up right over the city of Atlanta. They also had some heavy rain, thunder and lightning. It caused a ground stop at Hartsfield-Jackson with all the thunderstorms not only over the airport, but also near the airport, and a lot of lightning involved with those as well. So that caused the ground stop. We had delays there, finally catching up on those delays from what they had a little bit earlier. But as you can see, a lot of things are calming down now. We had those storms that came through right over the city, and they weren't moving that much. They were kind of drifting to the south and east. They went through parts of DeKalb County into Henry County, Rockdale County, and then finally everything started falling apart here during the early evening hours as we started losing some of the heating. We had a high today of 89 degrees, and then when the rain came in, it dropped from 89 to 76. When the rain was over the airport, that rain-cooled air. And now things are a little more stable. And a lot of folks who had that rain-cooled air have stabilized a lot more. So that's why we're not seeing any additional showers developing out there tonight. You see things are ending there in North Georgia. Same thing for south of I-20. You know, we had a few showers here south of Macon, over into parts of Taylor County near Butler, Georgia. So just a few of those showers, a couple little lightning strikes with some of those down closer to Peach County as well. And then those near LaGrange, just a few light showers that are falling apart in those areas too. So that's pretty much all that we have out there. A few additional showers down in parts of middle Georgia here, south of Macon, south of Interstate 16, in some of these spots not too far off from Lawrence County there near Dublin. A couple of those scattered showers and a few thunderstorms. Again, not classified as severe, but just some storms that we are watching. Now, the big news is Hurricane Erin. And you can see on the satellite imagery this big storm just swirling out in the Atlantic. But what I want you to notice is once the rain gets into radar range here off of the coast, we're beginning to see some of these outer bands. And these are really far outer bands here. And the flow around that is enhancing that Atlantic moisture coming into Florida. And we'll see a few more of those showers coming in on the Georgia coast as well over the next few days. Nothing really widespread there, but just some of that Atlantic moisture enhanced by Erin coming in, hitting the land and causing a few of those showers that we're going to be seeing there. Here's a live look at what we're watching right now over the city of Atlanta. This is our tower cam at Georgia Tech, and that looks nice, doesn't it? Earlier, we had a lot of raindrops on the lens, and our visibility was reduced earlier thanks to the rain that we had coming down in the Atlanta area. But as we saw on the radar imagery. This confirms what we see there. Still a few clouds around, but we're not seeing any active rain coming down. And here's a look at some of those clouds where, again, we have this beautiful view from our tower cam at Arizona Avenue. The sun went down at is it 8:20 or 8:19 now? Every day I write it down and we lose about a minute every day there. So it's now setting, a lot earlier than it did when we were seeing sunset in the height of the summer at 8:51 and 8:52. Now the sun's setting around 8:19. So we're not seeing as much light on the horizon as we normally see at this time of night when I'm doing these updates for you. Here's a look. I want to show you what we're watching here in the tropics. Here's a look at Erin, and this is still a hurricane, and it is a Category 2 hurricane. So this was a Cat 5 over the weekend. Then yesterday was a Cat 4, and then it's been losing some strength here, and now it's a Category 2. Still nothing to ignore, though. I don't want to say that it's been downgraded. I mean, literally it has been downgraded, but still people need to be watching this because the impacts are going to be very far-reaching from where the center of the storm is. Max winds right now at 105 miles an hour, moving north-northwest at 10 miles an hour. So remember, this was moving westward. All right, and then we were expecting it to make a little bit of a turn. It's beginning to do that now, moving north-northwest. Then it's going to be moving north, and then it's going to be moving northeast, and that's going to be that curve taking it away from a direct landfall there on the United States. Notice that we do not have any warnings or advisories here on the Bahamas. We did have some watches earlier, but now that this is pulling away, they have actually canceled the tropical storm watches and some of the warnings that were down to the south there for the Bahamas, and Turks and Caicos no longer included in any of those warnings either, because the system is beginning to pull away. Where we do see the warnings, those are up along the North Carolina coast, and then that's a tropical storm warning, including the Outer Banks. And then we also have here in yellow a tropical storm watch that goes up to the Virginia coastline as well. Notice what you see in white here along the coastline. In fact, I'm going to step out and zoom out a little bit so you can see that, how that is included there on the Georgia coast as well. Let me push this down a little bit for you. And also the Florida coast. You see that all the way down to Miami. All right, what we're looking at there is that white color there from south of Miami on up to the north to Fort Pierce, to Daytona, to Jacksonville. The Georgia coast has that white color. What this is, these are special statements for rip current dangers. All right, that goes up to the South Carolina coast and the North Carolina coast as well. And then, of course, that's covered up by the tropical storm warning that is there. So what you're seeing there and what we have been telling you is that even though this system isn't making a direct landfall, or not making, the eye of the storm is not making a landfall in the United States. It's curving away. We've been saying that over and over and over again. We have also been saying over and over again, but there will be some impacts from South Florida to the Georgia coast, to the Carolina coast, and northward there. There will be a danger of potentially deadly rip currents there. So that's why you see that kind of white color there, because of the hurricane, or actually the rip current statements that they are posting there along the coastal region. Even though that storm is going to be more than 100 miles away, hundreds of miles away here. So here's a look at the wind field, speaking of some of those impacts. Now this still has a really broad wind field, hurricane force winds. Even though the winds are not as strong, the hurricane force winds are still extending 80 miles out from the center, and the tropical storm force winds are extending 230 miles out from the center. And so that's a very large system here that's impacting a lot of people. Now, we do have some of those winds, even though they don't have any more warnings or watches there in the Bahamas, they're still experiencing some wind, and they have some rough surf there too. So it's not like, it's clear and easy there down in the Bahamas. They're still feeling some of those impacts, even though they no longer have any warnings. That's going to continue to pull away. Now, what I want you to see here, the Florida coast and the Georgia coast, the yellow colors you see, Those are some winds that could be 20 to 25 miles an hour here over the next few days. The winds start to settle down a little bit on Thursday, but then these stronger winds move into the North Carolina coast, and this is where we're talking 30, 40 plus mile an hour winds. That's why they have a tropical storm warning in effect. A tropical storm is when winds get to 38, 39 miles an hour or greater. And when you have winds that long, that's tropical storm force winds. So again, it's not because the eye of the storm is going to crash in here. It's going to brush by, and because those tropical storm force winds extend so far out from the center, they most likely are going to be feeling that on the outer banks of North Carolina and the coastal regions there of North Carolina before it all pulls away. But even up to New England, they're going to be feeling those impacts from the winds and the rough surf there too. So this paralleling the coastline is not the best thing to do because it's going to be impacting a lot of people. Here's a look at the wave heights. Now, the waves there around the center of the circulation are crazy. We're talking 50-foot waves out around the center of that circulation and even higher in some spots. We've got the blue color here on the Georgia coast, the Florida coast, and the South Carolina coast on Wednesday afternoon. That's 5 to 10 foot waves possible in those areas. Notice though, as this gets up to around North Carolina, the greens and even some yellows showing up here. 15 to 20 foot waves are possible. That's why they did mandatory evacuations yesterday on the Outer Banks. There's a little road that goes through there that is just feet away from the ocean, and they're thinking that those waves are going to overtake that road, and they wanted to make sure they got everybody out of there before that happened. And then again, those waves impacting the Mid-Atlantic region and going up toward the north and east before it finally pulls away. So here is the track, all right, of what we're watching. Still Category 2, we're thinking tomorrow afternoon. Now that would be directly east from Jacksonville tomorrow afternoon, but still hundreds of miles out. And then again, kind of paralleling the coast here, moving up to around 2 in the morning on Thursday, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That's when it's probably going to be getting the closest there. Thursday morning to the North Carolina coast. There you see Tuesday afternoon. That's when it starts moving away. So it's going to be in that time frame, late Wednesday through the day on Thursday, when North Carolina is going to be feeling the brunt of the action there with the potential for some of those tropical storm force winds. There are a couple of other areas that we need to watch out in the Atlantic too. There's another one in the middle of the Atlantic here that is going to continue moving really in a similar track of what Erin was moving in. So the Hurricane Center is giving us a 60% chance of developing once it gets up into this area near the northern Leeward Islands is when it could have a better chance of developing into a tropical depression or a tropical storm. But what's interesting here is I'm thinking it's going to be experiencing some shear behind what, Erin. Also, there will be some upwelling in the ocean, and the water's not going to be as warm. The cooler water is going to be coming up to the surface there after this big storm has kind of churned up a lot of that water. So a couple of things there that we have to watch. Here's another system, though, that is coming off the coast of Africa. This has a 30% chance of developing over the next 7 days. It's way out there. We'll have to keep watching it, but they're actually calling this an invest now, and that means we'll start to see some spaghetti models coming out on this. The models, it's too early to tell where this would go or if it would have any impact on the United States. But of course, that is something that we will continue to watch right here from the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team. The other thing we're watching, though, is our local forecast where we hit 89 today. That was before that rain came in and those temperatures fell quickly over the last 20 hours. In fact, you can see that getting up into the 80s and then boom, falling into the 70s there as those showers came in. 76 is your temperature right now here in Atlanta. And as we go through the rest of the night, we're going to see generally those temperatures that'll be down to around 73 in the morning, getting up to 91 in the afternoon with some of those scattered showers and storms here. Anything out there tonight diminishing. And then during the day tomorrow, you'll notice here, we're going to see just a few isolated showers developing. I don't think we'll see as many as we saw today. Just a few of those scattered showers, 30% chance for that. Pretty much a similar story on Thursday with about a 30% chance for some of those afternoon showers that'll be pushing through. Here's that 7-day outlook where we have lower 90s once again on Wednesday and Thursday with those rain chances at 30%. And then Friday and Saturday, rain chances coming back up to 50%. And with that, temperatures cool down. And then speaking of cooler air, Even with sunshine on Monday and Tuesday coming back, temperatures will stay in the mid-80s, and the dew points will be lower too, so that'll feel a little more refreshing here for August. Thanks for joining us for this extended weather update here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7. We'll have another update for you coming up tonight at 11 o'clock on 11 Alive News, plus more updates throughout the day tomorrow right here on 11 Alive Plus and on Weather Impact 24/7. Have a great night.